the doctor woman told me to take off my trousers. I wasn't sure what this woman had told me. And I said, does this Indian want to sleep with me? Those were the questions. And I'm a man from Mbeere. And we are known to be very sexually active. So basically, I just lay in bed. Yeah. And then she walked from her desk to walk to wash her hands. And she said, I told you to remove your trousers. So I opened my belt and I was shy to show my private parts to this woman. So I stayed there. Then she came. I saw her put her gloves, put some gel, and she said, I told you to remove your trousers.
Yeah, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone involved, welcome to 2025 to our podcast, Man, Culture and Arts. Tuliacha 2024 tumepiga 8 good episodes, which was good for season 1. Now we open season 2 with very, very distinguished gentlemen. Kwa wale wamesahau, hapa Men, Culture and Arts, we talk about men. We talk issues that affect men. We are trying to encourage ourselves as men and maybe the man who is listening at home. And our slogan is usually, let the man talk. Gentlemen, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Hey,
good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Gentlemen,
We are gentlemen.
Maybe you should have said, hi, boys.
Classmates.
That's right.
Today we are here to discuss something quite intriguing about as men, men and health. Unajua it's a common phenomena, wanaume wakisikia hospitali they go the other way around. And I am privileged to host you guys. I think we just mention your name and what you do briefly before we start the conversation. And probably let me start with the oldest on my extreme left.
Yes, as the oldest in the family, my name is Mteeve Brian. Yes, I'm here at the capacity of the President Rotary Club of Embu, but I'm also a lecturer at Nyaga University.
We have education in the building. Thank you, Bwana Mteeve. Then we have second oldest.
Yes, good to meet you, Steve. I mean, Vince, it's been a while. I've been talking about this. It's come to fruition, eventually. Yeah, my name is Jokey Boy, but to my friends, they call me Mwafrica. What do I do, man? I've done a lot. Done the Navy, went to South Sudan, recently just came from Zambia. And it's all hustling. It's all in the name of hustling. I've been trying a lot of businesses here and there. Now I'm back in Mbeere, trying to do a little bit of farming. And of course, trying to do what we can best for our communities.
I wonder they call you Mwafrica. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And now to the man who needs no introduction, but you have to.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Vincent. My name is Norman M.G.K. Nyaga, or Norman Munene Gadakari Kengangi Nyaga. I am 75 years old, now obviously retired. And welcome home.
Oh, thank
It's nice
you.
to host
Thank
you in my humble premises. And I look forward to this conversation that we're going to hold. I have been in business for many years. I've done all sorts of odd jobs, odd businesses, but I'm more known with the politics of this country, where I have represented 2 constituencies, namely Gachoka between 92 to 97, and then Kamukunji as Chief Government Whip as from 1997 to 2007, finally retiring into this. I am a farmer. I deal mainly in cattle, goats, avocados, and macadamia. I'm the second largest avocado grower in the county of Embu.
Amazing.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mwafrica, I think we should do a documentary.
Yes, indeed.
This story is a whole movie.
Yeah.
Vince, let me tell you, you need to sit with this guy a whole day.
Of course.
We sit with him and the kind of stories he gives us, man, especially the history of this country, the intrigues of politics, the intrigues of what happens. You know, he's been into power. And when you sit with him and he tells you how power operates and how it goes, man, it's just another story. It's just another crazy. You should have a moment with him.
I'm feeling power. I'm sitting next to him.
You see, basically, we go into that direction, then we're going to discuss many things. Many things, and maybe we can resolve to have another day.
Before we drift away, I think today I've had an opportunity to visit Mbeere Hospice, which is a health care center. Which Mwafrica, you happen to be the CEO. Kindly explain to our viewer what is the hospice, what is the purpose.
Okay.
Before now, Mheshimiwa tells us how it happened and the origin of the hospice.
Yes. To be honest, Vince, I think you'd have started with Mheshimiwa because he's a starter. He started the hospice, and I would be more proud to give about its status today, and of course a view of what how the perception with the public and the hospice. But I would like to give the honor to Mheshimiwa, being the person who came up with the idea of the hospice, to give us his brief history why he decided to get it. I just came in to give the support.
Okay.
It would be better for him to tell us exactly what was in his mind when he was starting it, and take us through that.
Who am I to refuse?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to explain as to the genesis of how the Mbeere Hospice was started. First of all, we had issues with the name. Many people felt I should have it under the name of my mother. But as for me, I was looking at the location of where it was situated. And I needed, if anybody got to hear of the name Mbeere, they would knew was in the district of Mbeere. We initially started off with 9 districts, and there were many. Lower parts of Meru, Tharaka-Nithi, Kitui, Machakos, Mwingi, Murang'a, and Nyaga. And I had vehicles that used to travel in all those places. But let me give the initial genesis of the start of the institution. My mother was detected with cancer many, many years ago, and on day one after she was detected with cancer, I took her in my Nairobi home. And therefore I lived with her. And I saw the issues that she went through. We brought in a nurse who stayed in throughout, and they would exchange. So we picked up nurses from Nairobi Hospital, and we had a doctor on standby. And for 1 full year, she was in and out of hospital. And I experienced the problems that people go through. One, financial. Very difficult to look after patients who have got cancer. In my mother's case, it was palliative care that was required. And therefore I knew she was not going to survive for too many years. But I have a little rider of what happened at one stage when she was about to die. And the doctors called us and said, your mother will not go for more than 2 months, 2 weeks. Yes.
That's quite short.
Yeah. Essentially, I gave up 5 acres of land. I donated to a community called the Mbeere and the Embus, and brought in trustees, put them together so that it became an organization that was non-profit making. And then I picked up a team of members who are willing to work with us and became board members. It started off very, very well. And we did weekly meetings for 2 years as we were constructing the hospice. We did lots of fundraisings, both outside Kenya. I traveled widely into Europe, into US, raising funds. I created a foundation under the name of my mother, Eunice Mbeere Foundation in Washington. And I got a lot of support from those groups. We also did local runs here. We did lots of walks. Nairobi Hospital did lots of walks for me and so on. So we started on a very, very high note. And we had a big clientele. I then went to President Kibaki. And I told him I needed help in terms of getting the professionals to come and run the hospice. And he very gladly donated a doctor who was on standby based in Embu Provincial Hospital, as it was called then, and gave me 2 nurses who underwent the training of palliative care over a period. So we started off with 3, and that was fairly enough for us to be able to travel and start us off. I then gave my cars for visits outside to see patients all over those districts. I personally attended literally every funeral that took place with anybody who was associated with our hospice. I got many visitors from all over the world coming in to give me support from here. And that was a takeoff. Now, today, if you went to the level 5 hospital in Embu, they don't have a single dose of morphine. Over the years, I used to donate morphine to all the hospitals around this region, whether it was Machakos, whether it was Nyaga, or whether it was Embu. And you know, cost of morphine is very, very expensive. But for me, my heart felt very joyfully satisfied that I was helping the community to relieve the pain that goes with the cancer patients. It has been a long journey. Sure. I then asked the president to donate an ambulance so that we are able to take people and see people in their various homes in a comfortable vehicle. That is another long story. We need to hear it from those that worked under the president then, because I believe they stole the vehicle, because the president faithfully donated it to me and sent me to Westlands Motors to pick up this vehicle, but State House did not pay for it. That, as I said, is a different story. It's good for people to know. We used to have in excess of 200 patients, sometimes 300 patients that we used to look after. Cancer patients, yes. And we would offer counseling to them. We would offer medication to them so that we relieve the pain. We then would, on a monthly basis, bring in families of the patients into the hospice so that they are able to interact and see that there were some that were more sick than others, and also for the family members to have conversation with the other patients and the relatives to see how they should take care of their patients at home. We walked that journey, and that was the start off of cancer business in here. I then received very many machines from the US. I donated 4 dialysis machines, which came to me for purposes of operations in a hospice. I donated, as I said to you earlier on, 4 dialysis machines to Nyeri Provincial Hospital. Nyeri Provincial Hospital, I donated 4. Gatondo General Hospital, I donated 4. I was not able to donate the 4 that I intended to donate to our own county for purposes of reasons better known by the then government of Mbeere. It's a long history. But finally, a couple of years ago, I donated them to the Catholic in Runyenjes, a private hospital in Mbeere South, and I also donated one to Mbeere North. I can't remember the name of the hospital. I still have one here that I keep. Anybody who is in need of it and ready to use it, I'll be able to do it. I think that's my journey with this.
Amazing.
Very good.
Amazing, because I don't think there is any other space offering palliative care around. Maybe for someone who is watching and is not familiar with what an hospice is, what palliative care is, the CEO, you can digress that to us a little bit and then give us the current status of the space.
Okay. Thank you, Vince. Now, unfortunately, in my journey, when Mweshimwe invited me to come and give support to the hospice, I realized that not many Kenyans, actually not many Africans know about hospice. But sure. Yes, but now it's getting to be known. Right. Now, we have two parts in a hospice. We have what we call palliative, and then we have what we call hospice care. Now, the palliative care part of it is that one that takes care of patients who are terminally ill. Now, that goes with people like cancer, patients with cancer, HIV/AIDS, though, HIV/AIDS before was terminal, but today people are surviving. But you can classify those people suffering from cancer, terminal disease, and which we call other end of life. And then the hospice parts are patients who are, you get patients who suffer from things like Alzheimer, diabetes. These are prolonged diseases. They're not going to end life, but they need specific and special care. So that is why we have the hospice and the palliative part of it. Now, it's very sad, Vince, because these people who come to hospices, they are not only at end of life, they are end of life in many ways, financially, mentally, and many things. And it not only goes to the patients, it also goes to the families. So you find families have already spent their monies trying to treat, to get treatment for the patients. And then they are coming to a situation where now they have to take care of the patients at the end of life. Now, when they are there, definitely you can imagine their mental strain and their financial strain. So therefore, most hospices are actually on a donor basis. Hospices depend on people, other goodwill from people to assist them. And we don't find that in Kenya. In fact, I can tell you, if you go to, let's say, Nairobi Hospice, probably about 50% of their aid is coming from abroad. And if you find the people who support the hospice, Nairobi Hospice, are the people, actually the rich community in Kenya. Sisi wananchi hapa chini, hatujui.
Do you even understand what
exactly. Now, you see, the thing is also, Vince, that people need to understand is that when you have a patient, you get a letter from your doctors. And usually doctors don't give you a letter and tell you, Nendo Some. They give you and tell you, do you have a hospice around your area? Where do you come from? You say, I come from Mbeere. Muko na hospice hapo? Yes, tuko naye. Shika hii barua. Peleka huko. So when the letter is brought to us, we open the letter, it tells us this patient has about 6 months to live. He has such a specific this type of cancer. He needs this kind of palliative care. Now, when you come to a hospice like ours, we lack those facilities, because most hospices, they don't treat. We don't give treatment. We manage you. And most of the things we manage is pain. We manage that the morphine Mweshimwe is talking about is a very important component of hospice, treatment, the opioids. We call them opioids. They're painkillers. Because mtu ametoka from chemotherapy, you can no longer give him chemotherapy because it's not healing. So now, the only thing you can do is ease their way into the next life. And that is only by giving, you know, pain management. Some patients, because they cannot move, they get bed sores. We try to get them things like special mattresses where they can be able, you know, when they're being tanned. We try to get them prostheses, especially for women with breast cancer. Colonoscopies. Colonoscopy is when you have colon cancer, they usually operate. And they bypass your normal process of getting rid of your stool. So you need a specific bag that when your stool, the body digests the food, it goes directly to that bag. Okay. It's a very important bag which gives dignity to patients. So we try and look for those things. Now, our status does not allow. Our government does not support it. No government, Kenya government does not support hospices. If you go to the health ministry, we don't have a budget. We get massive budget. Like now we get assistance from the county government, but what kind of assistance do they give us? We appreciate, yes. They give us one nurse, palliative nurse, and they give us a cleaner, a watchman. And that's it. We have tried talking to them. Look, this is an important component of our health system, but they won't hear of it. Now we will talk about so many things, but we need to understand the importance of hospice, because we cannot be looking at people in their lives, and when we really need comfort, we are absent. Corporates, they're very, very cold about it. I don't want to criticize anybody, but I will say it. It's very disappointing in MB corporates. We have big banks here. They are situated here. They should be able to help what is home. But when you go and ask them, can you help us? They told us, no, hii lazima iende headquarters. You know, if it goes to headquarters, how many influences will come through? How many other people, So we find ourselves really left out. So we've tried programs, like we ask people to become friends of hospice. If you become friends of hospice, we just want you to be donating 100 shillings a month. Okay, if you can become a friend of hospice and you're able, give us 1,000 shillings a month. Whatever little you can. And we recognize you. We will recognize you. We start having events, we will be saying, look, we will be reading out, this is a friend of this is a friend of hospice. And it would be a good feeling to be a friend of hospice for just 100 bob. So it's a journey taking care of these patients, and it's a journey looking for systems to support them. Yeah. Maybe
before you end that comment, I was speaking to your palliative nurse, and there's something interesting that she has mentioned. People don't know that these long-term illnesses affect even the younger generation. Maybe they think it's the older people when you are kokaribu to die or something. But she told me even kids are being born with cancer and diabetes.
Vince, let me, Mheshimiwa will expound on that. But let me tell you one thing. We find ourselves in a very difficult situation. We're in a situation where our life has become so difficult to survive in it that we will do anything to survive. One of the most complicated and difficult situations we have in Mbeere is Muguka. I will say it because I'm talking about cancer. Is Muguka. We grow Muguka. Nothing wrong with that. But how do we take care of our Muguka? We spray all types of pesticides. Mimi nasikia kuna pesticide ingine which you don't need, lakini inapigwa kwa Muguka to give it tint. There's a tint, there's something we look for inaitwa tint. Ati wanasema sasa hiyo ndio inakuwa fresh. But it's a very dangerous pesticide. Na Muguka, we eat it raw. Now to answer your question, mama nyumbani anakuza mboga hapa. Wewe unapiga Muguka yako. Watoto wanakuja wanachukua kama ni matunda wanakula. We don't wash mangoes here. We don't wash our fruits. Today we are having 26-year-old kids with liver cancer.
26.
We are getting cancer. Yes, cancer develops. But you know, it's also accelerated because of your surroundings. So we are getting 26-year-olds here with cancers. Cervical cancer is becoming a common thing to women. Do you know cervical cancer is sexually transmitted? Okay? In Mbeere, our boys are very rich. Wakienda, because of Muguka, wakienda pale Mukei, what they call Mukei. Mukei is that when they go and harvest ile kichuna. Between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. he's got his 500 bob. Okay? Now, as a teenager, and I have this kind of money, what am I going to be doing? Of course, and then watoto wetu wa shule, Mbeere we've suffered because hatuna watoto shule siku hizi. The boy child is no longer going to school. The boy child is busy Muguka and then going to hunt for that girl child. So we have a situation where we are sexually transmitting cancer because when cervical cancer actually starts as a human papillomavirus. Human papillomavirus. The doctor is here, he'll probably explain. But I'm explaining what I
want to tell you. Okay. I know the German fellow who actually came up with the human papillomavirus treatment based in Washington.
HPV.
HPV, yes. And I even know how it came to Kenya in the initial trials.
So you see our dilemma. You see our dilemma. We are in such a situation where we are having we are not retrogressing in the treatment of cancer. It's increasing. Okay? And then I'll show you another thing. Because we're talking about hospice. Do you know how many hospice care guys we have here because of this Muguka cars? Vijana wengi wameanguka na hii magari, they're vegetables. At home, they need hospice care because they are hii speed wanapeleka magari mtu akianguka na hiyo gari. Okay?
You can't support yourself.
And I'm saying here because I'm talking about Mbeere because to Mbeere, sisi ndio tunapelekanga hayo magari transporting carelessly. You won't hear those things in the other counties and everything. We have so many of those. Okay? Vijana wakikimbiza bodaboda huku cross country usiku wakipeleka Muguka sokoni. All reckless. So we are in such a delicate situation that we don't know how to do it. Ukiwaambia wasipande Muguka, what will they eat? How will they survive?
Let me directly answer the question, Vincent, that you asked. Well, first of all, when I started the hospice here in Mbeere, we were only 13 in this country.
In the entire country?
In the entire country, yes. And there is no known hospice, palliative care, that a government in Kenya gives support to. That is left to private people to look after that. It's a sector that the government should really think through it. And they should think through it rather than curative and preventive. Because, let me give you figures. In 2020, this country had new cases of cancer at figures that you cannot believe, at 42,000 people. The same year,
annually.
And if the figures are correct, 27,000 deaths. Let me give in a country like the US.
That's almost half of the cases.
Last year, US had new cases of 1.7 million cases. Today, they have brought it down to 600. It's because of their insurance medical schemes that they do. Let me also hasten to add, I have been involved, I don't know whether you know about it, I have been involved in medical tourism over the last 10 years plus. I have been responsible to taking families of members of parliament, members of Senate, Safaricom, and all teachers in this country and the National Police Force. I'm affiliated to over 500 hospitals, India and outside in other places. And most of my patients were cancer cases. And never mind how old they were some who were very old, there were some that were very low in terms of age. Now, cancer knows no boundaries in terms of age. So you could have a little child, a very tiny little child. You go to hospitals all over the world and you find a 2-3-year-old child with cancer. Now, the doctor will come and explain how that mutates into cancer. Now, there are known factors that one can avoid not to get to that level. You're getting to a stage where you are going to be a palliative patient. One, we must have checkups. But it is not in us as a society to go to hospitals, but they would go there. Any slight pain, a woman goes to hospital. But a man wants to play macho. I am the man of this home. Nothing can beat me. And by the time you end up in a hospital, it's when you're actually carrying you with a mattress to go to the hospital.
Just looking at your grave.
Obesity is one of the issues that cancer is related to. The lifestyle of what we eat has contributed greatly to cancer, and I think that's what Kiboy was talking about, Mwafrica. Like what he mentioned, Muguka. There are very many things you could mention. All these vegetables we are eating, the pesticides that we apply, that accounts to Muguka. Physical exercise. Many of us don't want to do any physical exercise. Look at this old man of 75. He started physical exercise
We're doing
at
our
the
golf.
age of 74. That's when I picked up golf. I do 120, 130, 140, 150 miles every month. I could never squat. Now I can squat. Even when I'm going to the toilet, now I can squat in a Pitla train. I can run. I never used to run.
Yeah.
I suffered greatly, Dr. from hypertension. That is something, it's history, and if it comes very mildly. Let me hasten to add the following, now that we are talking about men issues. And before I go to men issues, let me give current costs of things like radiation, surgery, and even chemotherapy. If you do not have, say, 138,000 plus to do chemotherapy, you're not going anywhere in Kenya today.
You're dead.
If its radiation is about 128, 126,000 shillings. If you're talking of...
In Kenya, you have not
Yeah,
traveled.
yeah, that is surgery, 128. If you go to radiation, you're probably talking of something like 119,000 shillings. Let me confess, I am a survivor of cancer, and that is prostate cancer. How did I get cancer? My own stupidity, my own macho, my own being a man. I used to go to a hospital regularly called Lilavati in Mumbai. I've worked a lot with the Indians, so I started my medical checkups a long time. And I walked into this cubicle when I was doing my checkup. First year I ever went to Lilavati. And the doctor woman told me to take off my trousers. I wasn't sure what this woman had told me. And I said, does this Indian want to sleep with me? Those were the questions. And I'm a man from Mbeere. And we are known to be very sexually active. So basically, I just lay in bed. And then she walked from her desk to walk to wash her hands. And she said, I told you to remove your trousers. So I opened my belt and I was shy to show my private parts to this woman. So I stayed there. Then she came. I saw her put her gloves, put some gel, and she said, I told you to remove your trousers. So I removed my trousers on third request. And she told me, turn over. So I turned over. I don't know what she wants to do with me. Then she told me, bend your knees.
Fold them.
So I bent them. The next moment, she shoved her finger in my backside. And that was very embarrassing.
You can imagine an African going through that.
An African going through that. She told me, do you have people who can look after your prostate in Kenya? Of course, I said, of course we have. Many of them. One of them was my schoolmate, Dr. Mbeere. So I said, okay, you need to check it. I am not happy with it. So I came home and I said, I'm going to go to Mbeere to go put his finger in my
again.
I said, no. I'm a big man in this country. I'm not going to allow that to happen. Second year I followed. I went to the same hospital. Same thing. It happened. Other than now I knew the treatment. You sit on the bed, bend finger in, finger out, and on you go. So I went there 3 times.
It's not that so bad. It's not that so bad. It's not painful.
It's not painful, but it's embarrassing. Now, so on the 3rd occasion, she said, look, let's take you to see a doctor here. And I said, no. I have plenty of them at home.
At home. But you never.
And don't forget I was the shadow minister for health, so I knew many. And I thought I knew health. So I came to Nairobi Hospital. I was admitted because they wanted to check. My PSA by this time had gone to 18, level 18. And maximum for a normal person, unless if you're an older person like me, it should be a 4 and below. We are old swollen prostate specific antigen. That is for the prostate. It was quite high. And obviously they suspected there was going to be cancerous growth in it. Now, then they started debating, where do I do my biopsy? Nairobi Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital, or this other hospital called Mata. They were debating among themselves on my bedside. And I said, look, if this debate is going on as to who is the best, I'll tell you who is the best. Tomorrow, I'll get out of hospital, I'll pick up 2 of my daughters, and I'll fly to India. And believe you me, that is what happened. I was in India. Why did I go to India and not any other country? It's because I knew the private hospitals in India were very highly skilled in treatment. I also knew at the time the best equipment that would have been able to detect the minutest growth of cancer was a machine called a PET scan, a pedestrian emission tomography. There was none, absolutely, in Kenya. And the rest is history. I went there, I was found to have had it, and I started my treatment immediately. The same machine detected that I needed to have my thyroid removed. So I had a total thyroidectomy. But I sat with my doctor. He was now telling me, look, Norman, we need to do thyroidectomy immediately, like yesterday. I said, why would you do it? My mother died from cancer. And I have cancer. You just detected I have cancer. He said, look, Norman, you may collapse now with this. This is more serious. Your prostate issues, PSA, will not kill you. So I went through that operation. The rest was history of what I did.
Wow, nice.
So I urge people, and I must say this because I used to speak a lot about it. At every forum, I told people, look, you choose 2 things. You choose a finger in your anus to check the level of your prostate, or you choose the size of a bottle, Tusker bottle, going in your backside as they are doing a biopsy on you. The choice is yours. Do you want
something
to have one shuffled in you, size of a Tusker bottle, or do you want a finger?
Really say that
Please,
word.
go for a finger. Thank you.
MCA podcast. Hivyo tu MCA. Until next time, let the man